He also created programs called welfare that helped mothers with children get by. He also gave food rations. Now, that was the precursor to food stamps. They would get a round paper nickel like, okay? It would say, this paper coin is good for a block of cheese. This paper coin is good for a loaf of bread. Okay? What caused the stock market crash in 1929? Let me tell you what happened. We had World War I in 1919, and all the way to 1922. When America came victorious in World War I, and our industrial revolution was going on, and we were industrialized, and we were selling tanks and things to other countries for war, we was a good country making good money. We were a great country rising above. No deficit, no nothing. But once that war ended, all those industries had to shut, and people were coming home from war and not getting financial money. So what happened was several companies had invested money into banks, right? Well, the day before the stock market crashed, several banks went bankrupt. So companies lost their capital. Their capital was their money. So the stock market fell over 400 points that day. And when that happened, it erased a lot of money from banks. Banks, when you put money in a bank in a savings account, you know what the bank does with that money? They give you an interest on it. You want to know why they give you interest on your money? Because the bank invests your money in the stock market, and they make money off your money you have in savings. But however, you can go into a bank at any time and remove your money from savings. Banks don't like for you to remove money from savings because they like to compound interest. So whenever the stock market crashed, everybody rushed to the banks to get their money out of savings. Because the stock market crashed and all that capital was erased, the bank had no money to give to people. So in America, let's say there was 500 banks. Within that time frame, 415 banks went bankrupt and shut their doors and people lost money. America was in a great thing. There was the Dust Bowl out west that ruined crops. We had no crops. People were starving. People were out of money. People had to do what they wanted to do. We needed a new leader. Franklin Delano Roosevelt campaigned on a great promise. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Republicans say, is a socialist and not a good president. But actually, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was what America needed at that time. He expanded everything. He insured everybody's retirement. He made sure every bank had to be federally insured. Because back then, banks didn't have to carry insurance. So that means if a bank lost your money, they just tell you, oh, well, your money's gone. He changed it so that a bank had to have insurance. So therefore, if the bank lost your money, the insurance company paid you back your money. He made that a law. Women at that time did not work. That's what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Men worked. It was a different time. Women stayed home and took care of the house, correct, Rose? So what Franklin Roosevelt is a lot of men died during the war, and there was a lot of single mothers. Employers would not hire women for jobs. So he had an issue. How are you going to feed these kids? How are these mothers going to get money? So that's why he raised taxes and created a welfare system and the food stamp system, well, precursor to food stamps. He did all that. He made Social Security. He gave you your Social Security number so you had your own line of credit so you can vouch for yourself. He also expanded a lot of women's rights. He campaigned. He died in office. He's the only president that you could ever say was a monarch of the United States of America. He got elected 4 terms back to back. Every other president before that agreed to only do 2 terms. But he kept seeing America having issues that only he could fix. And you know what's crazy about that strong man? He had a disease called polio. He couldn't walk. But you know what he did? When he walked to Congress to tell them to pass the Social Security Act, when he went in there to make them pass it, to look strong, this man put on his best face. He could only walk 4 steps at a time. But he walked the 2,500 feet from the White House to the Capitol building. And then stood at the podium and gave a speech and pulled this country out of the greatest recession ever. Now, right now, what's going on in the country right now with the coronavirus? We are actually in a worse depression than we were during the Great Depression. And it doesn't seem like that because of the social programs Franklin Delano Roosevelt made. Unemployment is his baby. Welfare is his baby. Food stamps is his baby. The government paying for public schools is Franklin Delano Roosevelt's fault. He's one of the greatest presidents this country ever had. And he was a Democrat socialist. And this year we had a few Democrat socialists trying to run for president, like Bernie Sanders, like Andrew Yang. I honestly think the next Democrat socialist president you have is going to be a woman. Her name is AOC. I can't pronounce it. Something Coastal. What's her name?
Yeah.
The Congresswoman, AOC. Something Coastal. Anyway, she's a Democrat socialist. She's the youngest woman elected in her district. Yeah. She is a very smart woman. Here's what they're testing right now in Silicon Valley. Here's what's going on. Silicon Valley is home to the most billionaires in the country, okay? They own a bunch of computer software companies, and they own a bunch of other companies like Tesla, everything else. In 3 cities in California, these billionaires have decided to give every resident in these 3 cities $1,000 a month to see how they spend it and how they live. Something called UBI. It's called Universal Basic Income. Republicans hate it. You want to know why Republicans hate it? Because they want to make the rich pay for it. Republicans are lobbying. Each president, each congressman, and everybody in power is lobbied by lobbyists. Okay? These lobbyists are paid by corporations and rich people to get people to do what they want. Republicans are lobbied by people like the National Rifle Association to push more guns, which lead to more killings. They are lobbied by the medical companies that want to raise the prices on drugs. Do you understand that if you don't have insurance and you need a vial of insulin, now understand a person needs 2 vial insulins a month, right? A diabetic has to have insulin every day to live. Do you understand that the 2 people that made insulin, a black physicist and a white physicist that made it, gave the insulin ingredients and gave their medicine away for free to the public, okay? They donated it and said it should be a free drug forever. However, once their contract given up for free, drug companies rushed and bought it before it can be renewed to be for free after they die. Drug companies monopolized it. They kept raising the prices. Now a vial of insulin is $900 a piece. Republicans say that is fine because most Americans have insurance. And Republicans want to take credit for most Americans have insurance, but in reality, Barack Obama gave most Americans insurance when he passed Obamacare. Barack Obama gave everybody